Welcome to this episode of the Arctic Dungeon Master, and in this episode I'm going to continue talking about Wardlings. Wardlings is a little campaign. It's geared more towards younger kids if you've not been watching or following this video series. This is kind of geared towards kids. It says for ages 10 and up. Yeah, 10 and up. But the kids I have playing is an 8 and 5-year-old. I've got previous videos about this. If you want to go back and watch those, you can watch the playlist playing D&D with kids. And there I talk about doing this. So this is the second session that I've done with my kids. Well, it's chapter 2. We've done 3 sessions. We did the intro to teach them how to do it, and then we did the first session or chapter. We did the second chapter, and I continued going on with they had to get school questions right, whether it was for the 5-year-old what letter this was, for the 8-year-old had to do math problems, spell words, that sort of thing. And another thing that got added because they were encountering creatures and stuff like that, got to use monster minis, just like I would in a regular D&D campaign. And the kids really ate that up. In fact, as I was bringing everything over to the table, because they're kids, I don't really need to hide things for them or whatnot. They really were, they saw the monster actually, and they just, that was their whole focus on the whole issue. And it took a while to get them geared towards, hey guys, forget about what's behind the screen. This is what's going on in the game. What do you want to do? Go to A, B, C, or D. And so that's what happened. They lost focus. They had to regain that focus. They loved having a monster to fight, something big. And last time I used dice because I didn't have monsters for the mud puppies. Yeah, they had mud puppies in the first encounter. And I didn't have anything. I didn't prepare anything, so I just used 6 die, the D6 die, and I didn't think anything of it, but seeing their reaction to me whipping out monsters, they enjoyed it, they loved it. So I'm preparing the next session for them, which is the final session for this Wardlings campaign. And you know what, I love just how quick this is. This has really got the right attention span length for kids. So if you are really looking at something to play with your kids, I do recommend Wardlings, just because it's great. Everything is really simplified for them, that they can understand. You don't have to do the schoolwork questions to see whether or not an attack lands, or if they see something for perception or whatnot. You could use the roll dice, the D20. That stats and everything like that is in here. It's cool. You could totally do that. You could do your own thing, really. And I just like how everything is short with each session. It probably takes an hour with my kids, and that's about the length that we've really got, I think. And it opens up a whole new world that no one else has ever done before. So as soon as we're done with what is actually prepared, we will eventually be doing our own stuff, because there's more things to do. There's more kids to rescue and stuff like that in this world, in this premise, how this is set up. And I like that. I like that my kids can have a little ongoing adventure, so to speak. So this can stop at the 3 chapters, or you can keep going. And I think my kids will enjoy it enough to want to keep going. They totally love the minis. I even have Wardling minis that I actually got from my local store. And I don't buy a whole lot from my local store because it's expensive, shipping everything like that to Alaska. I really try to do things affordable, and I really should be shopping at my local store, but it's kind of out of my budget at this time. Except these Wardlings minis were, I think they were 60% off, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy a couple. And so I did. I bought like 10 of them, you know, and they were like around $3 to $4 a piece. And I'll totally get to them in a moment. But my kids loved the minis, and I'm not going to let them use like my painted minis. That's insane. But as long as it's a pre-painted mini, because I've mixed pre-painted minis with their Wardling minis, because there's an NPC wizard that follows along with them. And for a little while there was a little girl named Lena who was following them around until they got to their farm, and then she stayed at the farm with another mini that I had. I used a fairy nymph sprite mini for a brownie. There was a brownie on the farm that stayed there. So my kids really enjoyed the minis, and so as I'm preparing for the third and final session, I'm pulling out a hag mini. I'm gonna use zombies for in place of the scarecrows, because they're not painted, so these zombies could be anything, and just the weird stance that they got, they can work as a scarecrow. It's gonna be cool. It just gives my kids something to focus on. That's the place of attack. So if you plan on playing D&D with your kids, I highly recommend using minis. Throw 1,000 minis on the table if you want. Kids love the minis. And I highly recommend using pre-painted minis, or I would use just non-painted minis, because you don't want Dorito fingers to ruin the hard work you did painting your minis. Here you see this is a Wardling mini. That's a fire orc. And this is a wizard mini. That's also a Wardling. That is an actual WizKid D&D mini. Behind it, of course, is the monster. I am horrible at monster names. The Ankeg, and I'm probably butchering that. But that is the monster that my kids had to fight in the last mini. And so you see the sizes and everything. The Wardlings are slightly smaller. You definitely see the familiars that they each come with. And you can definitely find these on Amazon or Miniature Market if you're in the mood to get yourself some Wardling minis to go with your Wardling campaign, or just use D&D minis. That's what I'm doing for NPCs and whatnot, and it works out just great. So, do you play D&D with your kids? If so, do you use minis? What kind? How many minis do you use? Do you use 5, or do you throw 1,000 on there? Let me know in the comments below, and hit me up on what you think, kids and minis. Maybe we should have kids paint minis? I don't know. That could be fun, interesting. Let me know in the comments if that would make an interesting video. Until next time, you guys have a great week, and I hope you get to play some D&D soon. Alright, have fun.